All right, what's up, everybody? Back with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. So we're going to be talking about how to build muscle today. But first, this is a marble. This is a bucket. You can see, potentially, I don't know, there's a couple hundred marbles in there. Each week, I calculated this out about, maybe 10 years ago, whatever. If I lived to 80, how many marbles I would have needed for each week of my life. Each week, marble goes into that bucket. The red bucket contains all the remaining weeks of my life. It's a good reminder to me how precious time is and that you have to value each moment, right? You got to have standards that you live by, and you have to constantly evaluate those and think about what the purpose of your life is. So this morning, great morning so far. 4.5 minutes, 51 degrees in the cold tub. 5 hill sprints, 47 seconds was the longest it took me, which is really good. 42 seconds was the lowest. So we have muscle camp beginning at Newell Strength. First time we're running it. And I've been very fortunate to have some of the greatest coaches and friends in the world when it comes to building muscle. Friends that know how to build muscle. And I've gotten to pick their brain. I've gotten to learn from them. I've gotten to compete against them in bodybuilding. And that's the sport of bodybuilding, right? Is really building your body and getting your body fat down. But what I'm going to talk about today are principles to build muscle. This is what the students in muscle camp are going to be getting much more in depth. And they're going to be getting the workouts with us specifically to build muscle. It's not for the faint of heart, not easy. First thing I want you to understand is the stress response when it comes to building muscle. 3 stages of stress: alarm, resistance, exhaustion. Alarm is when your body realizes, whoa, something's going on here. We have to build up, we have to adapt to this stress so it doesn't kill us. So everything your body does, everything your brain does, your nervous system has survival in the forefront. Okay? When it senses that it's under attack, even though you might not physically be looking death in the eyes, when you train with weights, and if you do it properly, your body says, I need to come back bigger and stronger, so the next time this happens to me, I can handle this with more ease. So it's a stress response. Hans Selye, I believe that was in the 1920s or 30s when he really came up with this model of 3 stages of the stress response. Fortunately for me, the first book I ever read on strength training, Big Beyond Belief, I still have upstairs, was very scientific, and it went into the stress response. It's one of the first things in the book. And Tom Platz, who I think is a genius, one of the best leg development of all time in bodybuilding, he was one of the co-authors. So I learned from a very early age. I was 16, I believe, when I ordered that book. Might have just turned 17 by the time it came in the mail. Yes, I ordered it through a mail order slip in the back of a bodybuilding magazine. There wasn't internet like we know today. I mean, we'd have to dial up and all this stuff with the internet, but ripped it out, sent it in, and it came. So I applied these principles, and I understood these from a very early age. We're talking about 25 years now. So that's why the body gains muscle. Just like why your hands would gain calluses. You see, I even have them on some of my fingers, not just on my hands, from years with the iron. So that's why the body would gain muscle. Now, the principles that I have. Firstly, let's talk about sleep. If you're not sleeping adequately, forget about gaining muscle. Don't even approach this other stuff. Everybody is individual, but you need quality sleep. You'll know if you're getting enough. You'll know by how your body feels. There's a saying that Stan Efferding, who spoke at the gym a couple years ago, who's another brilliant mind in the world of strength training and nutrition, he says, don't step over dollar bills to pick up pennies, right? Sleep is the king when it comes to building your body. So let's get that out of the way first. And that's going to affect all this other stuff. Second thing I want to talk about is insulin sensitivity. Mountain Dog, may he rest in peace, John Meadows, coached me for about 2 or 3 years. Another one of my fitness mentors, brilliant mind. He would always say, Kyle, I want you around 12% body fat, which is fairly lean, to pack on muscle. I said, why is that? He said, well, the more insulin sensitive you are, the easier it is to put on muscle. The calorie partitioning, where the calories go, would be greatly affected by how insulin sensitive you are. So for me, fasting plays a big part, manipulating fasting and putting on muscle. This is counterintuitive to most people, but it works. Fasting is also very, very muscle preserving, and in the right setting can be very muscle building. Growth hormone spikes 2,000 to 3,000%. Luteinizing hormone goes way up, up to 67%. That's a precursor, one of the precursors for testosterone, which is another anabolic hormone in the body, even for women. So fasting enhances those things and makes us more insulin sensitive. So you want to be more insulin sensitive if you're trying to put on muscle. Second thing, there's three different style workouts, if you will, that I have in muscle camp. Time under tension. The late great Charles Poliquin, another one of my fitness mentors who passed away maybe about a year ago, 2 years ago, I think, maybe even more. He would always teach me. I was fortunate to learn from Charles about 3 or 4 times in person that time under tension is a critical factor to gaining muscle. So a set should take you between 30 and 70 seconds. So I want you to think about that. One set should take you between 30 and 70 seconds. That is hard. Most people don't want to train that way. If you go to a regular Globo gym and you look around, most people are spending maybe 15 seconds on a set, then they're done. The stimulus is not there to gain muscle. It's a time under tension workouts. Volume. This is what I would rank the third, okay? I would rank this the third, okay, as far as effectiveness, but it plays a role. But your traditional volume, lots of sets, lots of reps. Trying to get time under tension, but it's usually not done right. But it does increase blood flow. Okay, so let's say we're doing traditional bodybuilding, right, which I rarely ever do anymore these days. But let's say it's a chest and arm day. We're going to do a lot of sets, a lot of reps. It will increase blood flow to those areas. And we need to get good nutrients and blood flow to those areas to increase muscular growth. It's a secondary factor, but it does play a factor. So volume. And the last one, which is right up there with time under tension, because when I talk about time under tension, guys, that's why I do the 8-minute set of squats on Fridays. It takes a different mindset to do stuff like that, as does the all-out set. Popularized by Arthur Jones, creator of Nautilus training equipment back in the day. Mike Mentzer, who was a very, very high-level bodybuilder, competed against Arnold and all that in the early 80s, around that era. He really adopted this system and really became a philosophical student of how to build muscle. One all-out set. So you can warm up, but then that one all-out set, your body is going to respond to that stress. That means nothing's left in the tank after that set. If you waste that set, tough. You wasted it. You didn't have the right mindset. Most people don't have what it takes mentally to train like this, but highly, highly effective. What else do I have on here? Protein myth. Protein is the most anabolic macronutrient. There's no question about it. As far as health, protein is depending on what you're looking at, but it's very overrated. We don't need as much as we've been told. You don't need a gram per pound of body weight. I used to take in 300 to 400 grams a day when I was competing. There are health implications to that, but it is more anabolic, so we will manipulate that in muscle camp along with the fasting. Give them a specific target to hit, but that is for the muscle camp students, the specific number that I will share with them. You have hidden muscle. So for me, and I realized this with athletes long ago, your hidden muscle is the muscle on the posterior. Your glutes, your hamstrings, your back is a huge factor. And when I talk about your back, I'm talking about your traps that are really a trapezius, okay? They go all the way down to the spine, like a diamond shape. Your rhomboids, your lats, your rear delts, your triceps. These are your power muscles, what I call your power muscles. These are the muscles that shrink with aging. This is also the area where you could gain a lot of muscle. You could gain a lot of muscle. Most people just train the front side, right? Because that's what they can see. They train the biceps. They press a lot with the chest. And actually, two of my clients yesterday, my one-on-one clients, were talking to me about, they've been training with me again. They started training with us about 10 years ago. About coming up on 2 years ago, they came back to train with us. And they said, man, what a difference between where we were training with prior to coming right back and now. I focus so much on their pulling movements that they said our posture has improved. They go, people notice our traps. The son, Patrick, he's early 20s, he goes, I used to be able to feel my spine. He goes, now I got muscle all around it. He goes, I can't just run feel the ridges on my spine anymore. And they just said, man, what a difference. So we focus a lot more on pulling than pressing. So those are some of the keys to gaining muscle. Now, I'll give you a little bonus before I wrap this up. There's two types of muscle growth, sarcoplasmic and myofibrillar. Excuse me. Sarcoplasmic is when we're getting more fluid, right? And we're really pumping the muscles up, more like the volume bodybuilder. And this is one of the reasons a lot of bodybuilders, not all bodybuilders, a lot of bodybuilders aren't as strong as they look. It's more just a pump, right? It's just a lot of blood volume there. Myofibrillar is when we actually create, it's not as much fluid based, okay? So think of plasmic as more fluid based. Myofibrillar is actual tissue. That's what I would rather have. I would rather have myofibrillar dominated muscular growth. It leads to much greater strength. And think of it as being like a piece of steel wrapped up in a pillow. That's what I'm after. Those are some of the principles for gaining muscle. You need to know what you're doing to do this, but the information's out there. And we still have, I think, 3 spots left in Muscle Camp. If you want to do it, just leave a comment. But if not, the 12 specific workouts will be released probably by late October in a manual form that you can purchase and apply these yourself. There will be a mini lesson with each one. All right, guys, so that's how you gain muscle. That's how you put on muscle. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to be patient, apply the stress, back off. Remember, you build muscle when you're recovering. You don't build muscle in the gym. That's the stress. That's actually going to break the muscular system down. Then it's got to rebuild and come back bigger and stronger. You guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the share button, leave a comment. I'll catch you guys later.